Welcome back, my curious friends. As we all know, the British royal family is famous for its scandals and controversies that have graced the courts. Prince Harry's past romances were often the topic of the tabloid gossip and scrutiny, but let's not forget what his own father was like. One of the biggest and most talked about scandals is of course Prince Charles and his romance with Camilla Parker-Bowles and his marriage to Diana Spencer. And if you think you knew everything about the love life of the British monarch, then let me tell you that you would be wrong. Who was the woman who declined the prince's engagement not once but twice? What tragedy stuck one of his ex-girlfriends? And why did he ignore one of his past loves while she died alone? And has his family tried to cover that up? Stay with me to find out more about these mysterious women from Prince Charles's life, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications. Prince Charles's love endeavors are nothing new, and they have been known to anger not only the royal family themselves, but also the British public and the world press. It was obvious that Queen Elizabeth II's older son tried to settle down and start a family, but things just weren't working out for him. And despite what it was that he wanted, he knew that love would be more of a secondary thing for him. His main priority was devoting himself to the court. Before his marriage to Diana, which let's not forget that his father, Prince Philip, was very supportive of, and his famed romance with Camilla, there are two other prominent women in Charles's life, and we're going to look a little closer at those who were there and why their romance with Prince Charles didn't work out. It is worth noting that between 1968, when he was a second-year student at Trinity College, Cambridge, to July 1980, when he first started dating Diana, the future king spent the time searching for the perfect match, but as you can see, it took him a long time to get there. Though even once he married Diana, it was obvious that it was a marriage of necessity rather than love, and if you want to know more about that, then click on the link above. As you could imagine, he was under immense pressure from the crown and the British public to find a suitable wife worthy of a king, and that meant either a foreign princess or a daughter of a senior British aristocrat. And let me remind you that by the 70s, Charles had already met Camilla, but she was quickly ruled out due to her background. Speaking about the prince's quest to find himself a wife, royal biographer Christopher Wilson said, "What's depressing or impressive, depending on your point of view, is the sheer number of women involved." He also added that Charles had a very big task ahead of him to find a suitable wife. And so the young monarch kept looking in all the wrong places, it seemed. He dated Lucia Santa Cruz, a daughter of a Chilean ambassador, Sibylla Dorman, daughter of Governor of Malta, and now acclaimed maker of wildlife documentaries, Cindy Buxton, and even Lady Sarah Spencer, Diana's older sister. Another of the prince's love interests was the daughter of the Duke of Wellington, Lady Jane Wellesley. By many, she was considered a perfect candidate for the marriage of the Queen's son with her dazzling good looks and her impeccable pedigree. With the long-year relationship failed, the blame was put on the British media for their intense scrutiny. Though when asked in an interview if there would be an engagement announced, she reportedly snapped back saying, "Do you honestly believe I want to be queen?" Ouch, that's one way to get yourself into the royal family's bad books. And he even had a relationship with a brewery heiress, Sabrina Guinness, though she was snubbed by his father, Prince Philip. The royal biographer Wilson described her as the liveliest of all of Charles's girlfriends, though she had a quite string of ex-boyfriends behind her, and when they met, she already enjoyed relationships with Mick Jagger, Jack Nicholson, Rod Stewart, and David Bowie. But as we can all tell, it just wasn't meant to be. Then came Anne Wallace, who was his final relationship before Diana. She was a Scottish heiress and a daughter of a landowner in Hamish Wallace. Just like Charles, she had excellent hunting skills, so maybe that is how the two bonded. Her skills and fiery temper earned her the nickname Whiplash Wallace, and according to Vanity Fair, she was even described as dangerous version of Diana, tall blonde but a reckless woman. Prince Charles was so infatuated with Wallace that he even proposed twice to her, and each time she turned him down. I guess she might have had quite the fiery temper if she turned the future king not once but twice. Wallace had famously dumped the royal after a disastrous night when he had invited her to the Queen's birthday ball. It is said that at the time he had rekindled his romance with Camilla despite the fact that she was still married, and reportedly during the party, Charles had spent the evening dancing with Parker-Bowles in front of his then girlfriend, who witnessed it all. The author of The Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla's Story and Secrets, Jessica Jane, revealed that Anna had caused a scene at the party because of Charles's behavior. She also allegedly told the prince, "I have never been so badly treated in my life. You've left me all alone all evening, and now you will have to continue without me." So they broke up there, and then not long after she married someone else. I mean, you have to give her some points. She must have had a lot of courage to do what she did, you know. I mean, with him being a prince and all, don't you agree? He then once again started seeing Camilla, but as we all know, that didn't last long before the royal family put a stop to it, and not long after, he began dating Diana. Now, the story of the second princess to never be was ended on a much more tragic note. Dale Tyrone, born in Melbourne of 1948, was the daughter of a wealthy Australian businessman. She moved to the United Kingdom in 1972 when she was 25 years old and started working at a PR company. She had immediately burst on the social scene where she met her future husband, Anthony Tyrone, the third Lord Tyrone, just 2 weeks after her move to the country. And with Anthony being a part of Charles's inner circle, the Aussie socialite became fast friends with the monarch. And later that same year, when she became engaged to her future husband, it secured her a firm spot in the future king's circle of the nearest and dearest confidants. They had such a good and close friendship that he started calling her by Tyrone's nickname for her, Kanga. Both Charles and Dales were very fond of each other's company, and the Queen's son even called her the only woman who understood him. Obviously, rumors about their supposed affair began flying, and they were not helped when the prince went on a private visit to her family home in Melbourne. She also kept several letters that she received from him. It seemed that they were very much in love, but the rules of the game dictated what they could never tell anybody about their feelings, and sadly, there was no chance that they could get married, but in the future, soon their relationships began to fade. As you can imagine, the prince was under heavy influence of his mother, who decided about her son's official relationships, and according to Queen Elizabeth II, Kanga was not a good candidate for a wife of the future king. But note that she actually said the same about Camilla, and we all know how that turned out. Both of those women got married and had sons, and since they still love Prince Charles, they decided to make him the godfather of each of the boys, and they also named their sons after him, though in Camilla's case, she made it her child's middle name. It was not long after that Dale suddenly fell ill, and she had a relapse of a spina bifida from her childhood, and to make things worse, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and after a long period of suffering, she went into a rehabilitation clinic farm place to deal with her problem with painkillers, which became a big part of her life to help her deal with the constant pain. What transpired later is the subject of speculation to this day, and during her treatment at the center, Kanga fell from a high window which resulted in her breaking her spine, and she claimed that it was not an accident and that she was pushed. However, due to her ongoing problems with painkillers, everyone assumed that she tried to end her life. And to make matters worse, a few weeks after the incident when she was bound to a wheelchair for life, Tyrone's husband informed her that he wanted a divorce, causing Dale's mental state to deteriorate. In July of 1997, she was seen at a polo match in Tidworth, allegedly chasing Charles in a wheelchair, though according to the eyewitnesses, the prince did not pay her any attention as he was absorbed with his own problems with Diana. As you can imagine, that deeply hurt Kanga, who, in order to cut herself from it all, decided to go to India. Unfortunately, it seemed that the tragedy after the tragedy was waiting for her in her life, and she once again fell ill, but that time with a mysterious illness that forced her to return to the United Kingdom. And upon her return, she was immediately hospitalized and diagnosis did not look good. The doctors informed her that she had sepsis. Sadly, Lady Tyrone died in November of 1997, shortly before her 50th birthday, and many point out that it coincided with her tragic car accident of Diana, which occurred 3 months earlier. Ultimately, Prince Charles married Diana Spencer, as we all know very well, and they had 2 sons together, Prince William and Prince Harry. At the start of their relationship, she was truly happy with her husband, but as time went on, the happiness diminished more and more until it was completely gone. This led to the monarch rekindling his romance relationship with Camilla, and clearly, the two weren't trying to hide that, as Princess Diana famously confronted Camilla about the affair. If you want to know more about what exactly happened then, be sure to check out our video about the whole thing by clicking on the link above. Though let's not forget that Lady Di went on to have her own affairs, most famously with her bodyguard Barry Manicky, and in a 1994 interview for the Channel 4 documentary Diana in Her Own Words, she even called him the greatest love she's ever had. And in the end, Manicky was let go from his job, and just 3 weeks after that, he died in a motorcycle accident, which Diana claimed was not an accident, and it was done on purpose to bump him off. Finally, in 1992, the royal couple separated, and in 1996 they finalized their divorce, meaning that both were now free to pursue relationships with whoever they wanted. Though this new freedom did not last long for Diana, as we all know too well. A year later, she died in a tragic car accident in Paris, France, along with her lover, Egyptian lover and billionaire Emad Dodi Fayed. And so, Charles was free to continue his relationship with Camilla after he eventually got the Queen's approval, that is, and the pair ended up getting engaged in 2005, 35 years after they had met for the first time. The prince's road to finding true love started and ended with Camilla, but as you've learned over the course of the video, there was so much in between, and all because she wasn't seen as a good enough potential wife. And due to all of this, Charles might be the sole reason why the marriage expectations no longer exist for the royals. Meghan Markle is a commoner who had been divorced prior to meeting Prince Harry, yet she was welcomed into the family with open arms without too much of a fuss. Well, on the royal side at least, the public is completely different story. So my curious friends, do you think that Prince Charles was right to completely cut off ties with Kanga? If Anna Walla had said yes, would the history of the royal family have been different? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, please subscribe and I will see you guys soon.